Hello Year 8. Today we are going to be applying colour and tone to our nature observations using colouring pencils. Okay Year 8, so we are going to be working on the page that we were working on in the previous lesson. So as you can see, I have my 4 observational drawings of objects in nature. And today we are going to apply colour to these designs. So as you can see, I have 2 left from my drawings last week. The leaves have dried up and started to fall apart, but I'm going to be looking at the 2 flowers today as they are still lasting to use for a colour reference. So we will need our colouring pencils, and we will also need a sharpener as well, as we need to have our pencils nice and sharp when working with them. So first up, I'm going to take this first flower and I'm going to analyse and observe the stem. And as you can see, the stem has a real mix of colours, so it has a really light golden tone alongside a darker green. So I'm just going through my pot of pencils and trying to pick out similar colours to that shade, as you will not be using just one colour for one area of your flower or your leaf observation. You'll be using a whole range of tones of colours within there. So I'm just going to begin by sharpening up some of my pencils. So I'm now just going to observe the stem of my flower, and as you can see, it is quite light at the bottom, and it's always good to start with your lightest pencil first. So I'm just going to start to neatly and very carefully shade, and you always make sure when using shade and tone to shade in the one direction. You can apply cross hatching if you wish to create a more darker area, and always remember when you are using tone, it is your dark, your medium and your light, and you can do this through applying pressure to your pencil. I also noticed when observing my flower that up at the top of the flower, just where the head meets the stem, there are some little prickly areas, and as you can see, they are quite golden in colour and quite light. So I'm just starting to add them now with my pencil, very lightly with pencil strokes. Now that I am happy, I am going to go for a pencil in one shade up. So again, holding my flower, I'm going to observe it and start to shade in areas using tone that are a little bit darker. So I am just continuing to observe my flower and add in little darkened areas, and I will continue to do so with the other colouring pencils throughout. that I have completed the stem and greenery, it's time to move on to the flower heads. So as you can see, there's quite a range of purple tones within it, some quite bluish and some also quite lilac-y and light. So I'm now just going to go through my pencil pot and pick out some similar tones. And remember, you may not have the correct tone, but it's okay, you can mix and overlap the colour and pencils together to create the desired shade. As before, I'm going to start with the lightest hue of colouring pencil which I have, which is a really pale lilac-y shade. So again, as I'm holding my flower and observing it, I am just going to start to lightly add some colour using very careful strokes with my pencil. Now that is complete, I am ready to move on to my next colour. So I'm just going to use a darker shade of purple for this. And as you can see, at the very tip of the flowers, they are a lot darker. So now I'm going to very carefully add some tone to it by pressing heavily with my pencil, creating very sharp pencil strokes. As a final touch, as you can see, there is still more gold hues within this area of the spikes in the flower, so I just wanted to take a very golden brown colour just to add them in, as I didn't feel I had done them justice in my previous sketch. So this is my complete drawing of the flower, and as you can see, all the areas of tone that I have added, so you can see some electric blue and some little lighter lilac tones as well. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next observation now. So this is one of the leaves, and this leaf had a varying degree of colours from really deep forest green to a very light lime green. So now I am ready to add some tone to my observation. So firstly, this time I am going to start with the dark shade first, as there's quite a lot of dark within this leaf, as you can see. So I'm going to begin with the darkest green that I have, and I'm just going to use lots of little light pencil strokes. As I had mentioned in the first observation, it is always advisable to start with your lightest tones first, but in this one I am starting with the dark, as I mentioned before, just because there is a lot of dark within this observation. For each leaf, I continue to use a range of different pencils, going from the darkest colour that I have until the lightest, and I blend them all together to create one seamless, smooth leaf design. Now that I have completed my leaves, I'm just going to add some colour to my stem. So again, I'm just using the darkest colour I have to add in sections, and then I'm going to go for little elements with the lightest colouring pencil that I have, just to add a little bit of lightness to the stem. So here is my completed leaf study. So I'm now going to begin with my carnation drawing, and as you can see I have my carnation here. And I'm just going to observe my carnation, and as you can see there is lots of different tones of pink and also lots of different tones of green. So I am now going to just pick out some of the colours of the pinks which I can use for the head of my flowers. So I'm just going to pick out a real selection of what I have from darkest to lightest pink tones. As you can see in observation, there is a range of dark pink tones within the flower, so I'm going to show that first. So I'm going to take the darkest pink colouring pencil that I have, which is mixed with a little bit of purple. It is quite a fuchsia tone, and I'm going to begin by creating soft, sharp pencil lines. Now that I am happy adding my darker tones, I am now going to begin with some of my lighter tones. So I'm just going to quickly add in some lighter tones with some pencil strokes and just lightly build up the tone in my drawing. Now that I am happy with my flower head, I am going to move on to the stem of my flower. So as before, I'm just picking up a selection of green colouring pencils which I am going to use. So as you can see, observing my flower stem, there is little areas where there is a little pocket of dark green. It's like a triangle shape, so I'm just beginning to add them in now. So I'm just going to add in all my dark tones with my pencil using very heavy pencil strokes. So now I'm going to work my way through using a range of colouring pencils in the green shade. So I'm just going to start with the darkest and work my way down to the lightest to add lots of different tone to my work. So that is my carnation drawing complete. So as you can see, I have used a range of different pink and green tones to achieve this effect. So now I'm going to move on to this fern style leaf. So this leaf was very light in colour. It had an array of really golden, lime, ochre, yellow tones, so I do not need to use any dark colouring pencils. So to begin, I'm going to start with my lightest shade, and I'm going to start colouring in the stem because the stem was very golden within this leaf from when I was observing it. And I'm going to work through now adding the golden hue and lime green and yellowy green tones. So here is my finished results, where I have added tone and colour to my natural observations. I cannot wait to see your finished work.